Hey students, it's time for another Adobe Illustrator lesson. This time we are going to use the Shapes tool in Adobe Illustrator. If you have not yet done the Type tool lesson, do that one first because it's going to show you how to open Adobe Illustrator from the Windows menu. But we're going to get right into it with the Shape tool. Over here on the left in my tool menu, I have a rectangle tool is what it shows. If I hover over it with my mouse, you can see that it has this little animation that opens up. And if I click Learn More, it's going to open a Discover panel. And if I want to, I can go through and I can read about how to use this tool in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to show you this though for now. If I click and hold, a menu of different shapes open up. You've got the rectangle tool, a rounded rectangle tool, an ellipse tool, ellipse, another way of saying oval or circle, a polygon tool, and a star tool, something called the flare tool. I'm going to just start with a rectangle tool, and I'd like you to do this as well. Once you've got your shape tool selected, simply click and drag, and you will have a rectangle. You will notice that you've got some points. These points are anchor points, and they let you resize the rectangle from the corner, or you can just resize it. What I want you to do, kind of like we did the Type tool, we're going to do 4 different objects in this assignment. So make a square or a rectangle. By the way, a trick in Adobe Illustrator, if you want a square or a circle as opposed to an ellipse, I'll delete this. The trick is hold down the Shift key, and you see that red line, that means it's doing a square. Now, I'm going to grab my selection tool. I can move it like that. If these dots that are in here, if I pull those, I round my corners. If I drag them all the way out, they go back to 90-degree sharp corners. And then, of course, I can stretch my rectangle like that. The other thing I have, my 1-point black outline, pretty boring rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and on my Properties menu, click the Fill, choose a color, and go to my Stroke tool. And I'm going to, I'll leave that black for now, and I will make it larger. There, I have a 7-point stroke and I filled it. Interesting. I have just done my first object of this assignment. That is the rectangle tool. Now what I am going to do is go back to the Shapes tool, click and hold, and I'm going to grab the Ellipse tool. This is going to let me get a rounded shape, so it can either be like an oval shape or, and I'll hit the backspace key to get rid of that one. If I hold the Shift key down, it'll let me draw a circle, and you'll notice the crossing red lines. That's my clue that I'm drawing a circle as opposed to an oval shape. Now, and you can see when I let go, I was still dragging, so it's not a perfect circle anymore. Grab my selection tool, and I'm going to make my circle a different color. I would like you to make it a different color as well. And just demonstrate to me that you can bring out a couple different shapes that you can change their colors. I might change the stroke color on this one as well. Maybe make it, there we go. So now I have a rectangle and an ellipse. So demonstrating the ability to use a couple of different tools. Now, we are going to merge a couple of shapes. And there is a tool that helps you do that. We're not going to get into that right now. I'm just going to show you a very basic way to do this. I'm going to go ahead and grab a different shape. I am going to grab the star tool. And I'm going to drag it. I'll go ahead and resize it. And notice if I go by one of the corners, I get that little, I can rotate it with that handy bent arrow tool in the corner. And then I'm going to go ahead and make it yet a different color on the inside. And then I'm going to make a second shape. I think I'm just going to grab another circle, or actually, why don't I do this? Why don't I grab a polygon tool, and I'm going to do a polygon. Now you see right here, I've got a 6-sided polygon. Notice I've got this little diamond right here, and it says plus minus. If I drag it to the right, it subtracts sides. If I drag it to the left, it increases sides. There's a 9-sided polygon. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click off, and then I'm going to click and drag and select both of the shapes I just created. And then over here in my properties, you can see I have a Pathfinder section, and it says click to unite. If I click right there, now I have united these two shapes. They are now as one shape. And if I change the color, it's going to change the color inside both of those shapes right there. So there is merging two shapes with the Unite tool. And if I resize these, it will resize them both. Now, there's one final thing I would like you to do, and take any shape that you want. I have the, I'm going to go and just grab the rectangle tool. And I am going to make a rectangle, and just for ease of reference, I'm going to pick yet another color to make my rectangle. Now, I've already showed you that I can round the corners on it. Go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to grab a different tool here. It's the direct selection tool. So this is a different pointer. And you'll notice that I now have, if I go along the outline, it says path, and then I have something called an anchor. And if I click on the anchor, you will notice I get these little handles. I am going to grab these handles, and that lets me bend the corner, in this case, on the shape. I can now manipulate this shape in all kinds of strange ways, which I would like you to do. And here's something else. If I'm like, well, I want to bend it somewhere else, you can grab this pen tool where it says create paths, and using anchor points, I'm going to click on that. And if I go to the path and click, I have just put a new anchor point. And so now I can click here and I can move it. I can change the shape. In fact, I can grab any of these anchor points and I can move and bend my shape. So what I would like you to do is create a shape, and then I want you to use the direct selection tool and manipulate it by doing the existing anchor points and then adding one or two with the pen tool and make a really strange shape. Your finished assignment is going to have a plain rectangle. It's going to have an ellipse. These are different colors. Make sure every shape has an outline or a stroke. I'm going to combine two shapes that are the same color, and then I'm going to manipulate a shape that I make with the direct selection tool. That's your job. Turn it in to the Google Classroom.